Coming up in late February, we told you about a slide that closed the southbound lanes of US 23 in Iville. We have new updates for you on that. In Laurel County, deputies are investigating a crash that sent one person to the hospital with serious injuries. And the Cumberland Fire burned down a garage, but the church beside it was intact. We have the details.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning. It is 6:31 on Thursday, April the 4th. I'm Will Puckett. Thank you for tuning in to Mountain News this morning. Well, yesterday was beautiful. You had your windows open, and today you should be able to do the same for the majority of it. However, when it comes around to the nighttime, you're going to want to lock up the house and throw away the key for at least roughly 24 hours or so. Let's bring Brandon to give you a better timeline of what to expect today. And Brandon, it's really more towards like the way later tonight hours, right?
Exactly. Closer to midnight and after, that's when the basic first line of showers will start to roll into the western counties. Overnight into tomorrow morning's drive, that could be a tricky situation, so we'll keep you posted on that. But let's go through time this morning. Last 6 hours on the satellite radar, clouds, but that's it. Everything else is pretty quiet this morning. I do expect those clouds to kind of fizzle out a little bit later today, closer to lunchtime, and they'll be back later this evening. 39, Jacksboro, Monticello, 40s across most of the region, some 50s in Moorhead, Pikeville, Logan, and into Jackson and Wise as well. Across the state, 53 Paducah, Louisville as well, 46 in Cincinnati, 43 in the Tri-Cities, 40 in Charleston, West Virginia. Through the trend today, we'll see temperatures climb into the mid to upper 70s, but those clouds will return ahead of those rain chances tonight. Full forecast on the way in just a few minutes. Will?
All righty, Brandon, we'll be back with you. Well, yesterday marked 45 years since a tornado outbreak rocked Kentucky. Dozens of people were killed as homes and businesses were destroyed. Meteorologist Chris Johnson talked to some people in Scott County who lived through that devastating day.
Right here was where our steps were going down.
It's been 45 years and Beverly Tackett can still remember what happened to her childhood home like it was yesterday.
This little section right here is where our house was.
The devastating outbreak of 1974 tore apart Tackett's home and ripped through the small town of Stamping Ground.
It had wiped out most of this previous house that was here. And if it hadn't been for that house, our house where we lived, or I lived at the time, would have been wiped out. We would have been probably gone.
That was just the impact in Scott County, where several people were injured. On that fateful day, 71 Kentuckians were killed. Kentucky historian Dr. Ron Bryant remembers that day and the impact it had on the town.
By the evening, those clouds had started pouring in, and they were as black as tar in some places. When the tornado started dropping down, it was just like an army was marching through, destroying everything in its path. There were places throughout the state that looked like a bomb had hit them. In fact, there was a trailer park here in Scott County, here near the Stamping Ground, that looked like a trash heap after it was over with.
Now remember, this was 1974 and weather warning systems were not as accurate as they are today.
We have so many hills here, you can't see them coming on the flat ground.
The memories are still fresh 45 years later. If you were around here in 74, you remember everything you were doing before the storm, even down to the food you were about to eat.
I'm 63 years old. I was 18 when this tornado hit. I cannot eat Brussels sprouts because when I think of them, it takes me back to the tornado, and I just can't seem to get that out of my memory.
The storm is long gone, but the memories are still here.
It damaged the house down on the end.
In Stamping Ground, I'm meteorologist Chris Johnson, WKYT.
Ours is gone.
Now, Dr. Bryant says the 1974 tornado outbreak was so powerful it destroyed more than 200 barns throughout the Commonwealth. Well, winter, its frigid weather and freezing storms is finally thawing out. But now we have a whole new set of severe weather systems to deal with. In today's Consumer Watch, Meredith Wood has a list of what you need to stockpile in order to keep you and your loved ones prepared.
April showers bring May flowers, and tornadoes, thunderstorms, hail, and maybe some flooding. As the seasons change, get ready for all sorts of different weather scenarios, even the most extreme. Severe weather can destroy property and cripple infrastructure, meaning you could be left to survive on your own for days. Ready.gov has a few suggestions for what you should keep on hand in the event of a weather emergency. Top of the list, food and water. Make sure you've got enough water for each person to use 1 gallon a day for drinking and sanitation for at least 3 days. Also, keep a 3-day supply of non-perishable food items and don't leave out the can opener. Make sure your first aid kit is fully stocked and your weather radio is nearby. Flashlights keep you out of the dark when the lights go out, but don't forget the extra batteries. Store some extra medications and important documents in a waterproof container. Make sure you have a copy of insurance plans, your identification, and bank account records. Being prepared can keep you safe and healthy in an emergency, but remember, should you need to evacuate your home, pay attention to the signs and never attempt to drive through standing water or over power lines. For Consumer Watch, I'm Meredith Wood.
Well, there were some scary moments for a Greenup County woman on Wednesday morning after she found herself in the Ohio River. Dispatchers say it happened near the Greenup Lock and Dam in Lloyd around 6:30. When crews got to the scene, the car was already underwater. Firefighters and Kentucky State Police troopers managed to get the woman out. She was flown to a local hospital with possible hypothermia. There is no word on her condition. Well, in late February, we told you about a slide that closed the southbound lanes of US 23 in Iville. And since then, a lot of work has gone into clearing the debris that threatens to fall. WYMT's Connor James shows us all the work that's being done.
A lot of the time when cleanup for these slides happen, the only thing you can really see is basically what I see down here. But there's a lot more that goes into it. Come on, I'll show you.
There's been a great deal of work that's taken place here. Most of it, the public cannot see.
I rode up the side of the mountain with engineer Daryl Sloan to check out the slide's ground zero.
And you just can't see from the ground.
This slide has been an around-the-clock job, monitored by not just the coyotes that frequent the area, but the crews on the ground.
Right.
It's been a long process. First was getting to the slide.
So there was a lot of planning, a lot of work, a lot of supplies had to be gathered for that.
Then began the long process of assessing and starting to clear.
Our next phase in the project is to take care of this large boulder that's next to us.
These boulders are a priority. They need to break them down because the mountain still moves.
We've had some mud come off. We've monitored that. That's one of the reasons why we've had people on the ground.
Now, even rocks that are the size of a chair could do some serious damage. And if there's any movement whatsoever,
they stop traffic during that time.
This slide is by no means a quick fix, but
we've been successful thus far with many things that the general public, isn't aware of.
Crews are doing the best they can to chisel away at it. In Floyd County, Connor James, WYMT Mountain News.
Now, transportation officials say there are 270 locations where work is needed. KYTC District 12 in KYTC's District 12's region. They hope to possibly open one of the southbound lanes in the coming days. Well, Tennessee transportation crews are working 20-hour work days to temporarily repair a broken concrete barrier on I-75. Part of the wall collapsed onto the interstate below on Monday. TDOT says they will work 7 days a week until the repairs are complete. The only time they are not working is during morning rush hour from 6 to 10 in the morning. TDOT estimates a temporary fix will be complete in 2 weeks. As for the driver who collided with the collapsed barrier, he's listed in fair condition at a Chattanooga hospital. Well, to Laurel County now, where deputies are investigating a crash that sent one person to the hospital with serious injuries. It happened around 1:30 Wednesday morning on Dorothy Road, just south of London. Deputies say a semi flipped off a bridge and fell onto train tracks below. Police were able to stop oncoming trains. The driver, 51-year-old Daniel Lynch of Michigan, was taken to UK hospital. An investigation is underway after a fire broke out at a hotel in Logan County. The fire at the Mountain Trail Inn was reported shortly after 5 p.m. yesterday. It also closed down a portion of State Route 10. Assistant State Fire Marshal Larry Hamrick says no one was at the property when crews showed up. He said it's possible squatters are responsible. The fire was contained to one room downstairs, and there is heavy smoke and water damage. Well, a Cumberland fire burned down a garage, but the church beside it was saved. Melissa Owens says around 3 o'clock Tuesday afternoon, her son was working on his four-wheeler when it got cold in their garage. She says a kerosene heater ignited a fire that burned the garage down. That was filled with her late husband's old shop equipment.
Everybody says, oh, but it was worth so much. My son is alive, and I'm thankful.
Jacob Owens was the only person injured, getting a burn to his finger that did not need medical attention. We are following a developing story this morning in Menifee County. 3 lost hikers are stuck in the Red River Gorge. Crews have worked through the night to try and get to them, but they say it's going to be tough. Rescuers pinged their phones to find them. We are told a 20-year-old man, 18-year-old woman, and 15-year-old girl were hiking on the Osborne trailhead, went off the trail and got lost. We will continue to follow this story and bring you updates as we get them. Well, it's 6:41. Let's toss it over to Brandon on this Thursday.
Lisa, it's a dry morning for those hikers up there in the Red River Gorge, and we just found out about that a couple of minutes ago. But it is cloudy outside the WYMT studios. We're looking at a lot of clouds this morning. That's going to be the trend for most of the morning, and then we'll start to see a little bit of a break in the action. Sun will come out, and then we'll see those clouds return later this evening. Whitesburg camera, again, we'll see those clouds firmly in place as we start to get closer to daylight. Temperatures in the 30s now in Monticello, Jacksboro, and Middlesboro, but everybody else in the 40s and 50s, so much warmer this morning than it has been. Almanac 76 your forecast high. The average for this time of the year 65. Record of 86 set back on this day in 1986. Will?
All righty, Brandon, thank you. Well, we will have stories trending on WYMT.com next. As always, thank you for joining us right here on Mountain News this morning. Coming up, can you imagine singing for a day straight? Well, how about 105 hours? One man did just that and is getting rewarded appropriately. And one little girl in Florida lost her stuffed toy at a Dairy Queen. We will tell you what employees are doing about it.